If you've considered doing a California road trip, you'll want to watch this video. I grew up in California, traveling with my family up and down this beautiful state. I have been all over, so much so we had to homeschool so that we could continue to travel. Now, I have a family of my own, but I don't live in California anymore. So in 1 week, I wanted to try to fit in some of my favorite places to show my kids my home state. So in 1 week, we managed to see the Queen Mary, the Pageant of the Masters, a Dodger game, Carpinteria Beach, Hearst Castle, the Computer History Museum in San Francisco in 1 week. You want to know how we did it? I'll tell you. So after landing in the Long Beach airport, we got our rental car, got some lunch at one of our favorites, Los Compadres, right in Long Beach, and then made our way over to the Queen Mary. The Queen Mary was one of my favorite things that we ever visited growing up. We did it a few times when I was a kid, and I was so excited for my kids to see this, but we were tired after traveling. I honestly wasn't sure that they were going to be up for it, but I made them go anyway, and I'm so glad I did because after the tour, my oldest boy said, "Mom, can you believe we almost skipped this? This was so cool." So I was so glad that he liked it as much as I did when I was his age. So you can see this ship is one of a kind. There's not many like it left in the world, especially one that you can go in and tour. This ship was built in the 1930s. It was used in World War II, called the Grey Ghost, because at the time it was the fastest ship and could outrun German U-boats. It had a bounty on it because it was so effective in moving passengers and soldiers back and forth across the Atlantic. We did the Glory Days tour. It's kind of just the all-in-one historical tour. There's a steam and steel tour if you really want to see inside the engines and things. There's also, we had an hour to kill before our Glory Days tour started, so we already went down in those areas and just toured them on our own. There's some plaques and things and some self-guided audio tours you could tap into. There was a Churchill exhibit when we were there, so there's other things that you can see if you need to kill time before a tour or you want to stay after your tour. Also, a Hollywood tour, haunted encounters, paranormal ship walk, especially during the Halloween season. There are really fun things going on this ship. It does have a haunted history. It's really fun to look into. When we saw the propeller room, that was particularly a little spooky. It left us a little uneasy, all of us, looking out down into that deep water. There's just something about looking into dark, deep water and seeing that old propeller that just made us all a little nervous. After we wrapped up at the Queen Mary, we made our way to our Airbnb in Laguna Beach because the next day was going to be full of food, sunshine, ocean, and some culture, exposing our kids to the arts in the evening. Waking up in Laguna Beach was awesome. We had a beautiful view right out of our Airbnb with beach access. It was the perfect California welcome. We wanted to go get brunch, so we made our way to one of my favorite places, Crystal Cove, which is right near Newport Beach. Crystal Cove is a really special state beach. It has a really unique history. There are families that lived in these beach homes right in this cove, and now you can stay in those if you want. We didn't stay in those, but we did go there to Beachcomber Café. We parked across the street at the Los Trencos parking lot. You can take the shuttle over or walk. This time we opted to walk. So we walked through the tunnel and made our way to our reservation. You definitely need one at Beachcomber Café to get what we always have to get, the beignets. It is mandatory. It is so good. You will not be disappointed. All of the food really, though, was delicious. After we finished eating, we made our way, literally steps down the stairs of Beachcomber Café to the beach and just enjoyed the sunshine. There are tide pools you can walk down and explore. My husband and I took a run on the beach to work off some of those calories from brunch and just enjoyed some downtime. Crystal Cove also has a small visitor center with history of this cute little cove, as well as some really fun gift shops. I love to walk through them. There's things for all ages, from clothing and house goods and unique paintings, local paintings and artists. So really, really neat. Just an amazing place to visit. I don't know anybody who doesn't love Crystal Cove, but again, it's a hidden gem, so keep it a secret. After Crystal Cove, we made our way back to Laguna Beach, shower, shampooed, and shined to be ready for the Pageant of the Masters that night. We were close enough that we could just walk over. There's also the Sawdust Festival. We were not going to do the Sawdust Festival this year, so we just went straight to the pageant. And what's really cool about it, unfortunately, there's no pictures allowed or video, but they do this really cool thing where live actors and people reenact famous paintings and sculptures, and they stand so still, and the lighting and effects make it look like a flat painting. It's really, really cool effect. And so it's fun to look through binoculars. This was my kid's favorite thing, and a favorite thing when I was their age, to look through those binoculars and see the people blinking or breathing or whatever, or maybe making a slight movement. So it's a really cool tradition, something that's a great way to like introduce the arts in a unique way to younger people. I think there are a few shows that have, if you want to say, made fun of or just highlighted this festival. One of those was an episode of Arrested Development. Anyway, if you've heard of it, it is really cool, even though I know it's been kind of made fun of at different times. This is day 3 in Los Angeles. For breakfast, we stopped at Randy's Donuts. You've seen this in movies, Zootopia, things like that. We drove around Beverly Hills, Rodeo Drive, showed the kids some other sights around LA. Before the end of the day, we went to a Dodger game. So of course, we had to go to Philippe's. You get your French tip sandwich. Everybody else there is dressed in Dodger gear. It's just what you do when you're from LA. A few blocks down from that is Olvera Street, and I come from Mexican heritage, and so this is important for me, for my kids to see this part of LA, the oldest street in LA. The oldest existing home in LA is also along this street, and there's great little shops along the way, and of course the taquitos, tacos, burritos to your heart's desire are going to change your life. And then you'll be so sad when you go home and you no longer have access to that amazing food. But moving on to the game, it was Teoscar Hernandez bobblehead night. We were excited to get that. Got there first thing, got our bobbleheads, got to our seats, and yes, of course, we still ate a Dodger dog because you have to, and this trip is just as much about the food as it is where we are going. And even though the Dodgers lost the game, we've decided we are just the problem, and we probably shouldn't attend games in person anymore. But they lost the game, but we were still able to see a Shohei Ohtani home run, and that made up for the loss. It wasn't enough to turn the game around, but it still was a very exciting moment for all of us to witness. This was a real highlight for us. We had a little bit of culture yesterday, some real fun today, and what a way to end the night. And here's your good night song for the end of day 3. On to day 4. This is day 4 and 5, headed to Carpinteria State Beach near Santa Barbara. My family has been coming here for, 50 plus years. It's known as the world's safest beach, and we have so many family memories here. Typically, we would camp at Carpinteria State Beach. It has really cool campsites right on the sand. You could put your tent there or pull up your RV. More recently, though, we've stayed at the hotels in town in Carpinteria. Getting a campsite at Carpinteria State Beach is very difficult these days. A lot of people know about it, and it's very popular. You either have to know how to game the system, catch somebody's cancellation, or go during the non-peak season. There are playgrounds though nearby, and Linden Avenue is full of really great shops. It is like that beach town that you just want to stroll and love. Just know though, it has changed. In the last year or so, there are several stores that have been there for decades that have recently closed down. Rincon Designs being one of those, and Robitaille's Candies. I was so sad about that. But the spot with burgers and fries and shakes, we sure enough went there, and they said they are not going anywhere. So we got our burgers, we got our chili cheese fries, we got our pastrami quesadillas, and every single day I got a vanilla chocolate chip milkshake. I love them. Also, Reynaldo's. They have really good pumpkin bread and Mexican food, burritos, tamales, you name it, salsa. It is all really good, and I always get extra to take home for the rest of the trip and the drive home. Also, I just wanted to show this really fun toy that my kids and other kids around us all loved playing with, and he always stayed upright floating. It was really fun. I'll have the link in the description to this toy. This is day 6, headed to Hertz Castle from Carpinteria, about a 2.5-hour drive. And you know what? No matter where you're coming from, Hertz Castle is going to be a drive. It is kind of out there, but a beautiful area. near Cambria and some of that. It is up, way up on a hillside, and so you have to get there in time. If you miss it, you miss it. You're gonna miss your tour time, and we were barely there to make our tour time, and so we were the last people onto this bus that then carried us up the hill. And what's fun when you're driving up this hill is that you can still see remnants of the zoo that William Randolph Hearst had around his property. There were polar bears, there were zebras, and those zebras, not the polar bears though, are still there today. So you're lucky if you can catch a glimpse of those zebras amongst the cattle. And this was one of my favorite places to visit growing up, especially because my dad is an architect, and so he would explain the architecture, and I always loved hearing that the architect of this particular building and property in the guest houses was a woman, Julia Morgan, which was unusual for that time. William Randolph Hearst himself was a really powerful American publishing and media magnate. He was kind of one of the original founders of what we would know as like tabloid journalism. He was very in with like the Hollywood crowd and would use this property to host a lot of those famous celebrities of his time. And he wanted this to be like a museum property and like a resort for people to come and enjoy this place that he loved. So many areas of the property include art and elements that are brought over from Europe or Egypt and different parts of the world and preserved here on this property. One thing that got my kids really excited was when we were at the Pageant and the Masters, they actually highlighted Hearst Castle and gave a little history. So thankfully, they knew a little bit going into this that I didn't have to provide for them. But what was really fun was that on the tour, they pointed out this statue, and it was the same statue that they recreated in the Pageant of the Masters. I wish I could have taken a picture at the pageant, but again, that's not allowed. But here is the statue, real life, at Hearst Castle. Now, there is some controversy in William Randolph Hearst's story. He had a mistress, and this is primarily where she stayed, where he would, again, host Hollywood and all of these big-time people with this lavish lifestyle that he lived. And it's been really fun for my family to be able to do some international travel the last few years and see castles and beautiful buildings all over the world. And to see that we have this Hearst Castle in our very own U.S. is kind of exciting. And so the kids loved seeing that in California we have this beautiful property. Well, this day was far from over. We still had about a 3.5 to 4 hour drive to San Francisco from Hearst Castle. Again, it's just not close to anything, but worth the drive. It was so interesting coming into San Francisco and seeing all these AI billboards just one after the next for miles. And it just shows this is Silicon Valley and the technology that is upon us. And part of that also were these driverless vehicles, these taxis driving people around, and there's no person in the driver's seat. It was really mind-blowing to see these Waymos driving around. They navigated that traffic. Actually, it was very impressive, San Francisco traffic, and seeing those driverless cars. But then you see these old school trolleys as San Francisco history that you just love. We were staying really close to Ghirardelli Square. It just happened to be National Ice Cream Sundae day. So of course, we had to go get ice cream to finish off this long day of driving. The kids did so good, so this was our reward and our treat. Just keep in mind, San Francisco has gotten a lot better, but it's still not the safest place. So even though we did walk around at night, it's probably not the best decision. You just want to be very, very careful as you're navigating around San Francisco. Be very aware. I've had things stolen out of my bag here in years past, so you just have to be a smart traveler. Speaking of smart traveling, if you are like me and need to have a nice blanket when you travel, use these yoga straps. I'll put the link in the description to carry your blanket. Well, that was the end of day 6 and on to day 7. This was our last full day. We backtracked a bit into San Jose to go to the Computer History Museum, and it was actually really interesting. Even for me, I did this more for my kids who are interested in this. I myself, this mostly goes over my head, but the AI exhibits were very interesting, including being able to chat with this bot.
And deep connections in mathematics.
What do you use them for?
They're used in fields like engineering and physics to analyze waves, electrical circuits, and even quantum mechanics.
We actually spent a good amount of time here and explored all the different exhibits, including like the history of computers and computer science and really how we've gotten to this point with AI. So it was very, very interesting, and my kids who love computer science were loving it. After that, we made our way back to San Francisco and made a few stops. We wanted to go to Lombard Street, do that historic weave down that crazy windy road. Now that took a while. It had a long line leading up to it. Once we were done there, we made our way over to Fisherman's Wharf to get something to eat and see the sea lions before we went on our sunset cruise. Now, you may have noticed my mom is on our trip with us, and she is very fun. So this is her and my daughter dancing to this motorcycle guy who has no clue in the background. The music coming from his motorcycle is very funny. Back at Fisherman's Wharf at Pier 39 is where we're gonna find those sea lions that we just love. It is so fun to just look at them enjoying their life, napping, relaxing. I mean, what a life. It is like just one of the favorite parts of San Francisco. Definitely my kids' most favorite part, probably of the entire week. Now, something I've just come to know about myself. I love a bay cruise. Any opportunity I can get to go on a boat out on a bay, especially at sunset, you got me. And to see it during the day, then the city lights, especially if it's narrated, just that really puts it over the top. But it's just a great way to kind of get an overview of a city. And this was no exception. Because we didn't have a ton of time in San Francisco, I wanted my kids to be able to see the Golden Gate Bridge and see Alcatraz and see a lot of these different sites, knowing we don't have time to just go and see every single individual site. So this was a great overview for them to experience San Francisco. We ended the night with a celebratory Shirley Temple. The next day, we were headed home. There is so much to do in California. We barely scratched the surface in reality. But these are a lot of the favorite places that I remember going to see when I was a kid. And it was so important to me to show my kids around my home state and these places that I just love. So I hope you're inspired. Take your kids back to where you come from or make new adventures. We love to make memories as a family, and I hope that you take the opportunity to do that too.